Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. Mic check. We're good. Can you
Yep,
hear
we're
me?
good. I can hear you. Sorry.
Okay, good. Good. Gosh, I forgot to put on the title. Episode 15. Appreciate you guys coming in and gals. Um, we got a lot to go through today. I believe Evan is probably going to be here today. I think the DeLorean account may be in today. So should be a really good space. Excited. A lot of good stuff going on. Let's wait a few minutes and hopefully get the room populated a little bit. And if you would share the space, um, like the space, whatever you can do to see if we can get some people in here today. Thanks again for coming in, and we'll take a few minutes here to get stuff together. All right, let's go ahead and get rolling. It is 12 o'clock on Friday, September the 12th. Once again, thank you all for coming today to the DMC Garage. We've got a lot going on. Arthur, you might want to go ahead and post in the Jumbotron the big announcement from today. And there's been many big announcements this week. Before I get started, obviously we've had a really tragic event here in the U.S. This week. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Gosh, if you're on Twitter and you don't see that. So I want to do a moment of silence from that. And 911, the 24th anniversary of that was yesterday. So I would like to have 1 minute of silence for these thousands of people from 911 and this tragic event that happened this week. So 1 minute of silence, please. Thoughts and prayers for Charlie's family. Thank you. So this is a big week for DeLorean. You know, so many of you have been here along for this journey for a couple of more than 2 months now, and you know, crypto's doing really well. We hit four trillion market cap again today. Um, you know, obviously, again, I'm Coach George. I've been in crypto since 2016 because 2014 doesn't count. You've heard the story. I am a Bitcoin maxi, but also I believe in blockchain technology. And that basically, we call it in the industry real world assets. And DeLorean is a real world asset, and we're going to really get into that today. But this is the season. They call it altcoin season, if you will. Bitcoin dominance did hit in the 57s today. I'll get into that when I get into the chart stuff. But this is a huge, huge week for DeLorean. And, you know, we see them, we don't just see them out on spaces and doing community stuff because they're working their ass off behind the scenes. And to see some of the things that happen today or over the past few days shows how hard these guys have been grinding to get through some of the regulatory hurdles that it takes. And I hope I see Evan in here, and I'm glad you're here this morning as well. Thanks for coming in. I hope you guys will, one, discuss that. And I guess we could start out with that because that would have been the first thing that happened. So, Evan, if you want to take this, we had an announcement a couple of days ago that Spain, the Spanish Securities Commission, and the European Commission, MiCA, I think, approved the white paper, and I want to hear a little bit from you guys about, one, the excitement of what happened, and then maybe the process that it took to get to this announcement that you were able to make this week.
Yeah, hi, Coach George. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me okay? Hello?
Yeah, we can
Yes,
hear you.
sir.
Good morning.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah, good morning. Yeah, we're extremely excited about our MICA white paper. And this is something that I want to say, like, probably in June, we started this process, working with the law firm, getting everything approved. And, we took it very seriously, as we take compliance very seriously at DeLorean. And it's just so important for the health of this token and the future of the project. To have that true utility for the token and to be recognized by the regulators as such. And it's a huge milestone. Mainly, we're probably the first RWA token, or one of the first to get it in Europe, and definitely the first Web2 big brand to get this designation. And not doesn't just help us in Europe. This also helps us with our U.S. listings, which of course is very important to DeLorean as well.
Thank you. So you said since June, October, 5 months of grinding, basically.
Yeah.
I went through the white paper last night, and I don't have the memory of all you young people, but a lot of good stuff in there. And from a security standpoint, what do they say here? Maybe I'm asking hard questions or too general questions, but to get through, the Howey test in the U.S. at least, do they apply those principles in the European Union, Spain? A little bit more about that.
Yeah. So as far as I know, this is giving us the designation as a utility token, and that we're not a security. And of course, with that, you brought up the Howey test. A lot of it comes down to the expectations of profit, and when it comes to purchasing the token, and really being able to show that what DMC is much more than just a speculative instrument. There's real utility. We are a real company coming out with real products, and this really separates us from all the meme tokens that are out there, and shows how seriously we are taking this.
Yeah, it kind of blows my mind, meme token. Okay, no expectation of profit. The gates are wide open. Everybody go put, excuse my language, dog with stick in his ass with, out there and have at it. And then, companies that come in that are building marketplaces and, making improvements in the reservation systems and the staking, so many things that you guys are doing. And it's freaking probably what? 100, 200 pages of documents versus just a one page. Hey, we're here, go buy it if you want to, right?
Yeah, it's so nuts. It's almost like we're handicapped in a way compared to a lot of projects out there, but it just causes us to have to work that much harder. And, we become stronger for that. And I think just overall, it'll benefit the health of this project. And, by having just a higher bar of standards that we have to hold ourselves to.
And Evan, you have some experience in the past with some exchanges and the compliances they have, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is kind of what I've been through for the last 6-7 years, dealing with the regulators in Canada. And, even, I can share some stories about how, we had to delist XRP at one point in time on my previous platform. And, it was no problem having, SHIB on or Dogecoin or any of those, but, XRP was the big problem. And, unfortunately, you have to comply with the regulators when they want something done. But just, shows you like how they look at things. And it's it can be a sticky, difficult game sometimes dealing with the regulators. But at the end of the day, they're there to protect the users and protect the investors. So at the end of the day, like getting their stamp of approval is what's important, and not only important for the investors, but important for scaling a project and inevitably being able to bring in institutional capital. And I think that's what's definitely on DeLorean's roadmap and our roadmap is getting more institutional capital into what we're building as well.
It's happening, gosh, I follow on the equity side, Circle, NASDAQ. I'm sure you probably have seen it, which is tied to USDC. Launched like 3 months ago and just absolutely shot up and has come down, and it had a real big bounce here this week. You've got the Bitcoin America thing. Obviously, Eric Trump has that's going on. HOP, which is tied to mining. So the Trumps are obviously crypto friendly. I watched a video earlier this week. Hester Pierce. It's a great video. It's in my thing. I'll maybe try to send it to you or something. It's an hour-long video. Not that you need to, because you're probably working with these people or trying to. But it's really good for anybody that's in the room. If you could go listen to this video, you're talking about the high-level SEC person giving her personal opinions, and it went from anything from meme coins to real-world assets. And like you were saying, it to me feels like they're crypto-friendly as far as trying to get things listed as commodities versus securities, which there's a fine line between being able to protect consumers and allowing these things to happen. So it was really, really good interview to hear really where they are and to see that it's I'm going to say 180 degrees from a year ago. I feel very bullish for blockchain. And I'm very bullish for real world assets, and I'm very bullish for DeLorean. I have to be, and for those of you that have invested here, shout out. You come in and I'll say you take a risk. You take a risk in anything, because I never did the disclaimer this morning. This is not financial advice. This is educational purposes only. Crypto is very volatile. Don't put in more than you can afford to lose. But yet there are great opportunities here. And for anybody, in my opinion, that's here, I think back 8 years ago, I'll say 5 years ago, it was looked at as a really bad thing, yet only 5% of the population is in crypto right now. And now you've got billions of dollars coming in on the stable side, which is going to provide liquidity. It's going to provide finance. You're going to have the opportunity to do the transactions in seconds. There's going to be, investment opportunities for big money institutions to come in and earn, if you would, rewards, interest. So this thing is really blowing up. And I've been waiting for years for this. So I'm just so glad that you guys came in. And hey, we wouldn't even have an opportunity to be in the DeLorean, the DMC token. And if you, or maybe some of you here, but the accredited investor to get in an early round on a company's stock offering, you got to have $1 million in assets and $200,000 a year in income. So, again, thank you for that, for coming to the blockchain, obviously forward thinking for the technology more than for the small investors, but giving these small investors the opportunity to invest in something that I personally believe, not financial advice, is going to change the industry. You did a really great interview on, I think it was Cointelegraph the other day.
Yeah.
And you weren't just talking about DeLorean, you were talking about the entire industry and the entire world of companies. Maybe you can bring a little bit, because I didn't want to read the whole thing. It was long, but we can maybe get that shared up there as well, Arthur.
Yeah. So, a lot of that's, we're talking about our marketplace at, DeLorean.com, our vehicle reservation marketplace, and just how that brings a new level of transparency to being able to buy, sell a vehicle, also creating the wait list for the vehicle, and getting your deposit down and getting in line for one and creating value there, and really being able to cut through a lot of the BS that exists out there right now. If you want to get a specialty Porsche, so sometimes you have to buy 4 or 5 other Porsches before the gatekeeper at the dealership is going to give you an allotment to the, whether it's the new GT4 or whatever you have your heart set on. And, it's really, this is a way to eliminate the games, make it a lot more transparent, and just healthier for the industry. And then creating value and being able to monetize, part of the industry that hasn't really been there, democratized for people. It's really just been for the benefit of a few dealerships. And I think, this concept and what we're trying to disrupt goes way beyond even the auto industry. This is why it's billions of dollars that we're talking about here. You even have to, see these games being played with Rolex and, other, the watch industry of, okay, you have to buy 4 or 5 of these watches, before we'll sell you the watch that you actually want. And I think this technology and business model has a chance to, rewrite a ton of different industries. So very, very excited about this. And, this is why I'm so passionate about DeLorean Labs and what we're doing and what keeps me going here. And, long, long days grinding away to make this all a reality.
Well, and we appreciate you. Something I didn't remember the number. So obviously, a few weeks back, Cody said, "Hey, look, we're not going away. We're not going to give up and all that stuff. So you're going to produce cars, period."
Yep.
That's been established, and you're making, if you will, like you said, transparency through the marketplace and all of that. We're talking about, within the next year or two that the cars are going to be produced or go to production. Tesla, okay, for comparison, for the people in the room that don't understand, wait a minute, you got to wait a year or two for the cars. How long did it take for Tesla, the truck, for people that did their reservations and had to buy and put the money up front and all that stuff for comparative purposes?
Yeah, I think that was easily 5, 6 years for the Cybertruck. And I believe the Tesla Roadster, they started taking deposits in 2018, 2019. And we still haven't seen that delivered yet. So it's these cars take time, and there's obviously, you have to worry about safety checks, and it's not something you want to rush, because these are serious vehicles. So it takes time to get it right, and it's just important to get all the details done.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that Tesla forbids you to sell the car the first 6 months, and if you do, you get fined, so you lose all your profit.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard I feel Ford was even the same way with some of their specialty vehicles. I think I heard there was a rumor that John Cena purchased one of the I guess that latest Ford supercar a few years ago, and when he took order of it, he couldn't fit in the vehicle, so he basically had to resell it, but wasn't allowed to.
Yeah. The problem about being big and tall, you can't even get into a Lamborghini.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's cool that
Go ahead.
so with your experience and stuff, obviously you guys are working hard, and it seems like you're kind of working backwards because, like you said, you had to delist XRP because they had other hoops to jump through instead of like a meme token. And it seems like you got that experience, so you're kind of utilizing that, going backwards, kind of doing that first, then asking for the listings. That way, there's no issues with getting delisted in the future.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. We have the and it's important for like anytime we listed a token previously, these North American exchanges, they need to have a legal opinion, and to be able to justify that it's not a security, and essentially cover their butts if anything happens. So having this this MICA approval gives us that ability to go to a lot more exchanges and opens up a whole new world for the token, which is really exciting.
Which is maybe some announcements that we have for today, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, very excited to announce the Gate US listing. So our first major US listing, and of course, DeLorean being a US brand. This is so important to us, and very, very welcomed news for the community. And yeah, so happy that the day is finally here that we get to talk about it. And yeah, and also with Gate as an exchange as well. It's they've been around for quite a while at this point, and really in the last year, I've seen them as an exchange really jump into that top 5 position. They're definitely a top 10 exchange in the world. And it was I think it was really probably Hong Kong consensus early in the year, just started seeing them taking over the narrative in the exchange world. And yeah, they've done some amazing sponsorships. They've got stuff happening with F1. They've got deals with major European soccer teams, or football clubs. And yeah, it's just great to see what the team over there is doing. And we're just very excited to be one of the early tokens listed on their US platform.
This is huge. I think maybe it was Cody said that US, you have was it 2 billion fans and 60 something percent or something like that. And by all means, correct me if I'm wrong, are US based citizens. So this is what we've been talking about for the last 15 weeks. And you guys probably since you started talking about forming DeLorean Labs to have the opportunity for US investors to quote unquote simply buy DeLorean on a U.S. exchange without us having to take 2 hours to tell our friends how to get to, go here, add money, put here, go here, kind of don't lose your keys, blah, 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 blah. So going to a centralized exchange is a huge, huge step. I don't know, so I'm going to ask the question. I did not know the Gate was in the U.S. Is this a new approval for them to operate in the U.S., or am I off?
Yep.
Off the mark?
Yeah, so I believe Gate got the approval a couple months ago. And so yeah, that makes us kind of one of the first tokens that's going to be on there. It's gate.us, I believe, is the domain. And so, they're a new entrant into the US market, but they've been crushing it globally for the last few years, and especially in the last year, they've really started to compete with the big exchanges like Binance, Bybit, all those. So yeah, very, very excited to be with them in the U.S. market. And we also have a few other exchanges that we are working with in the background for U.S. listings. They're just taking a little bit more time. Can't really share who they are just yet, but they will be announced shortly as well.
Did you hear that, everybody? Okay, let's just make sure that's basically alpha that was just shared. They are working with other exchanges in the U.S., not just Gate, to possibly get listed in many sex platforms. If this is not bullish, then you don't know what bullish is. Not financial advice, but this is what we've been waiting for. And look, we've been here, we've been through. Gosh, you guys have been through. Welcome to crypto. I know, Evan, you've been in it a long time, but the peaks and valleys and the speed bumps and all those things, and you guys are still here, just plugging away. Evan, you've done such a great job working your ass off. Excuse my language. Traveling around. I think you've got a Singapore thing coming up. I'm going to assume you guys may be in Miami, so I know you're getting your frequent flyer points, and hopefully we'll be getting our points in DMC when we start doing the staking and all of those things. We'll get into that later as well.
Yep. So I'm actually already en route to Korea for Korea Blockchain Week, and I don't know if it shows in my voice that been a little sleep deprived in the last day or so. But yeah, it's all the traveling we're doing, and then so we can get to Korea, get a week to adjust to the time zone, because it's going to be then another busy week of back-to-back meetings, meeting with exchanges over in Korea. We really see the Korean market as very important to DeLorean. And then from Korea, we head over to Singapore. Going to be taking part in a bunch of events there. You have Token 2049 happening that week, which is probably one of the biggest conferences in the crypto space. So very, very important for us to be there and keep spreading the word of DMC. And then, of course, I've already announced a futures conference in Fort Lauderdale at the Hard Rock, and that's happening early November. And I've got a speaking engagement there as well. So yeah, hopefully you guys can make it out there, and we can get to hang out in person.
We need to be able to clone people, right?
Yeah. But I think Fort Lauderdale is pretty close to you. You could probably make the drive.
Right. I may change my mind and come down. I don't travel as much as I used to, because I used to travel like 75% of the time. You're like, oh yeah, whatever, I'm doing 90. But you know what I'm talking about, the burnout.
Yeah.
I was back there the 911 time, and it would take 2 hours just to get through security, and I was away from my family all the time. So but I may try to come down, and you might just talk me into it. And you probably need help if you guys have a booth, right?
Yeah. No, it'll be great to hang out, and we'll have a good chunk of the team down there.
And you'll probably have a nice rental car, so I always laugh with you about that. I'll have the Ford Pinto or whatever from cheap auto rentals. Maybe I could catch a ride with you to a bar or restaurant or something like that. That's a joke. It's an inside joke.
I've been really speaking of cars, been out in Asia, seeing all the Chinese electric vehicles. And it's just been fascinating, all the developments that have happened there, and just some really, really cool cars. Especially just saw the 4-door electric Lotus. I don't even think we have it in the North American market. And it's just such a good looking car. Really, really quite cool.
Yeah, and that's something else. This is more of a personal thing. My son works in the auto industry. I won't name the brand, but it's a big brand, big dealership in the parts, and I was reading that last night as well. That with the EVM, a lot of the auto companies are kind of like, we don't really want to promote these things because there's no work for the mechanics. These things are like, back in the freaking when I was growing up, you could change an alternator with a socket wrench to two, and now it's freaking impossible, basically, to even do an oil change. So that's I'm talking to him about that. It's like, watch out, this could be a reduced market share and these companies probably need to get more into that EVM thing. And here you guards, um, we'll call it early adopters, if you will, going into a market that has been around for many years. I've been researching this stuff since I got involved with you guys or with the project, not you guys. Electric cars, and then there's gas crises, and they invent them, and then the gas crisis goes away, and they don't. But they're here to stay now. My town is full of they're everywhere. There's charging stations, everything. So again, front running. You guys are front running everything, and so just really glad to be able to even speak to you guys, to be able to come up and speak in spaces to average common people, so to speak. It means a lot that you would come in today. So I appreciate you so much, Evan.
Thank you for having this. And yeah, as I always say, I just love being on these and just enjoy chatting with you and sharing everything that we're doing at DeLorean. And yeah, I just think these are so important for the community. First and foremost, in Web3, community is everything. And anything we can do for the community, be in touch with the community, just love to do it. So yeah, that being said, yeah, just need to. It's getting late for me over here, and yeah, need to head off. But yeah, love being here, and hope we can chat again soon.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you coming in. Be safe in your travels, for sure. And everybody, let's give everybody give a virtual clap for Evan and for DeLorean and what's going on this week and for how hard they're working. So it's not a 8 hour a day job. So appreciate you, brother. Be safe.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, there you have it. Some alpha definitely was shared in this space today. Um, we have DeLorean or DMC has been approved in the Spain market. We have the MICA approval, which is the European Union approval, that we have clarity that this is not a security, which is huge, which opens the door for U.S. exchanges. And it's announced today that Gate, the U.S., is going to be listing DMC token. I saw this morning. I think it's the 18th. So that's what, 6 days next week. Basically, it's nice to see that U.S. exchanges are getting approval to operate in the U.S. Yes, this is a worldwide thing, but I felt like we have been handcuffed, if you will, from some of the things that have gone on with the chart and the perps, and not being able to invest. All we can do is go through DeFi, which is a blessing as well to be able to. But major alpha today, major alpha. I'm going to probably get to my chart, which means I won't be able to see who's talking or raising hands or anything. Arthur, Arthur has to do. I'm not a tech guy. I mean, look, I can talk, but running spaces and stuff, Arthur can maybe if he'll pop up the chart, I'll kind of get into that. Again, like and share the room. Go ahead.
No, I did, and my microphone went out a while ago, so I got it back up running right on time. But yeah, it's up now.
Perfect. So this is as of this morning. Let me get. Do we need to leave my mic on? Let's see here. Oh, and also I didn't bring that up, but white paper. Your NFTs. Don't forget the time capsules when the staking starts. 2x multiplier on your staking rewards. The build slots have 3x. We'll have 3x, and the car owners will have 4x of your staking rewards. So when that becomes possible, if you believe in staking, then take advantage of that. Let's see here. Give me just a second so I can find this. Real world assets. That's awesome. Awesome. Real world assets getting approved in U.S. and in European Union is huge. So anyway, I did post the chart this morning, and I did post it last week, but I didn't put any notes on it. So if you were in here last week, there was a double bottom that I called. Not saying I'm some genius or anything, but my charts do work for me. So we hit a double bottom at 32.20. We had a 30% pump. Basically, we're currently at 0.0042. Again, that's 30% up. We had been in a down channel for probably a month. That began basically when the last time the thing pumped 120%. So currently, again, we're at 0.0042, 14.21 million million total market cap. The RISI this morning was 48 relative strength indicator, 48.24, which would be, I'd call it moderately oversold. When you get below 40, that's when it's really oversold. The volume was, last I checked, I think this was last night, 11.37 million, which is up. So that's your basics as far as the numbers. On my chart, let's see, so I can just look real quick. After that double bottom, again, it bounced, and we are in an upward channel, which is good. There's just no telling where the thing could go. You know, a lot of KOLs just say, hey, it's going to the moon and all. I'll try to be a little bit more honest or at least subjective. So let's see here. We broke through. I'm reading my notes. Already did that. So we busted through the 35.14, which is, again, on my chart. I use Fibonacci lines, which are very important to me, and then lines of resistance and support that happen along the way. So we busted through 35.14. We busted through 38. We're around that 42 number, 41. It hit 42 last night, and it's in that 42, 41 range, which is a long-term support resistance line. 0.00. I say it without the zeros, if that's okay. 44 is the 0.618 Fibonacci line. Again, it's something that's worked for me for years. 46 is a long-term support resistance line. 48, 52 has been a long-term resistance support line. 56, 60 was the original Republic pre-sale. It's long gone, but it was a long-term support resistant and psychological number when you do versions of 10. 0.0068. That's the top when we had that last pump of 120% a few weeks back. So that's a personal target for me that I feel is achievable. Again, I'm not giving financial advice. Up from there, we have 72. We have 78, which has been a strong support resistance. Then we had the 10. And look, the price has been at these and above these levels since the very beginning. Obviously, we all know who's been around. Some of the things that happened with perps and shorting and all that along the way. 0.010 and then 0.0125. Those are the targets. And again, I'm probably speaking a little bit too bullish today, but having U.S. exchanges is really as it's opening the gates for, no pun intended, I guess I'll say, because it's being Gate U.S. First exchange, but it's opened the door for the 2 billion DMC lovers, with 60% of that 2 billion, which would be 1.2 billion people that love DeLorean. If you don't know, the movie is being re-released in theaters, so you could literally go get your popcorn and go watch Back to the Future. So if you haven't seen it, go experience it if you can. Again, I try to be transparent. The downside is 0.0038, 0.003514, and then 0.003222, which was the double bottom that I was explaining last week. Other speculation. Let's see. Evan, obviously, there was a couple of weeks ago, was in Washington, D.C. Well, here we are having U.S. exchanges announced. Miston was in Washington, D.C. I think it was this week. So, they're hitting the pavement, basically. We're not seeing a lot of these things that are going on. But when I see it, I'm trying to do my research. The market hit 4 trillion again, total market cap today. So it hit it, I don't know, a week or two ago, but we're back there. Bitcoin has hit 115,000. It's been a green week. Wednesday, it really started running. And for me personally, not financial advice, but we're carrying through on a Friday. And what I've seen over the last probably year and a half is that institutions kind of carry the week, and then retail kind of carries the weekend. And so generally, and this is not, again, financial advice or anything like that, but generally when we have a bullish tail end of the week, retail carries it over on the weekend. So, it's your choice or whatever. You can maybe be able to take a little bit of profit this weekend. The inflows have been massive. Again, we had Circle US DT on the stock exchange pumped to like 9% yesterday. Bitcoin dominance is down today at 57.95. The pundits, if you will, the long-term traders, and that say if we hit in the mid 40s is when altcoin season is triggered, and it's Bitcoin, basically people pivoting out of Bitcoin, going to ETH, then pivoting possibly out of ETH and going into the altcoins. It's funny, I pulled out my Bitcoin chart and pulled out the 1 week chart or 1 day, I'll say, back for years, and looked at it, and it looks different this year. But in the last, let's see, 16, 20, the last 2 cycles that I went through, we had a really, really well-defined upward trend. And I haven't really seen that here, other than when Trump got elected, and from there through December. But so I can't say what's going to happen, but we've got a lot of money coming in. Liquidity is coming into crypto, and it is being very well recognized as a force in the future of finance. Paul Atkins this week, in a speech, said it's time for crypto in the U.S. Again, I'm probably U.S. centric in what I'm talking about, but that's where a lot of the speed bumps have been over the past several years. Again, pump circle, I've got it pumped 19.95% yesterday and then I think it's come down today. You've got Trump involved in World Liberty Finance, which is crypto in crypto. You've got on the equity side, I'm following American Bitcoin, which is Eric Trump, is involved in that one, which launched about a week or two ago. And then Hop, you probably haven't even heard of it. That is a Bitcoin mining company. Eric Trump did resign from a company he was working for and putting all his focus into these things. So those are things I keep an eye on. And then obviously, we're all anticipating a rate cut from the Fed. We've got problems in this country with inflation. We've got problems with people being able to buy houses. The mortgage companies, I did a post on that a couple of days ago, are dropping rates even before the Fed has done anything. So I don't know if that'll be factored in. But, we're close to what I would call a high housing crisis. I've been through this in the real estate industry, just almost got my ass handed to me in 2008, but came out on the top side by buying houses. I was buying duplexes basically, and the price would, drop 70%. So I'm not saying it's going to drop 70%, but just as a friend, if you're looking to buy a house, then you may want to sit on the sidelines for a little bit and really keep your eyes open to find what you want and if you want to buy. And possibly, it's a buyer's market right now. So that's pretty much it as far as on that side. Arthur, you got anything to share? I always feel like I talk too much up here. If
No,
come up, please do.
No, I feel like I took the day off today, Coach. You spoke throughout the whole thing, but the only thing I wanted to mention was that Gate does have 30 million worldwide users. DMC is going to be the first one to be listed in the U.S., and Gate is also got approval to work in the U.S. So it's just curious to see what's going to happen on September 18th, being that Gate got the doors open in the U.S. to give a lot of more, it's going to go from 30 million to probably 40, 50 million users. And then, DeLorean being the first U.S. brand you can invest on, it should be huge. And I would expect hopefully that Gate does a lot of marketing for them on that.
Agreed. I've got to do my research. I had not even followed Gate US Twitter account or X account until this morning. So, hey, there's, DeLorean bringing exposure to them. And yes, they are a behemoth as far as tier one. I believe they're probably a tier one exchange here, tier two at worst. And I've got to go do my research, but this may give us some opportunity to look at the perpetual leverage trading market. It's not something I'm very big in personally, but a lot of people are and have made a lot of money or lost a lot of money. So that's something I'll be researching here over the next day or so. Oh boy, this has been great. It's so awesome when Evan and the DeLorean account come in and share alpha. They don't have to. We don't work for them. We're just ambassadors. Arthur, I've become very good friends here over the last couple of months. I talk about stuff and then he buys all the stuff, basically. So if you want to hear about the Legos or the Hot Wheels or the newest thing that's out there, man, Arthur's probably got it. He'll be first in line to watch the movie. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
brother.
No, I'm definitely going to go to the theaters when they release it in October.
Take your kids, right?
Yeah.
Family outing. I wonder how much popcorn is with inflation these days at a freaking movie theater, right?
Yeah, it's definitely restaurant prices.
That's where my cheap ass would be, on a trench coat with popcorn stuffed in the pockets. Smuggling. I'm not smuggling drugs. I'm smuggling food in. Oh, hey, we can laugh a little bit, right?
Yep. And since we're getting closer to the hour, if anybody wants to come up and ask any questions, if not, the Galaxy Lab 5 is out. A lot of people completed it the first day. It's pretty easy if you made it that far. If you guys have any issues, you guys can always go to Discord and get some help. If you guys are stuck, if you have those vouchers, you guys want to basically go onto the Galaxy website so you can be able to claim your tokens. And, a lot of people, the racing, man, it's a tough race. A lot of people are in the top percent. So if you want to get up there and get in the race. Also, time capsules. They're going to be mentioning some stuff soon.
We've got Mud up here today. I see you, and I see Queen and Bender down there. I'm glad to have you up. Welcome, and let's hear it. What you got to bring today there, brother?
Good morning, Coach. Still morning over here on my coast. No, I just wanted to say, absolutely, you got to remember to laugh sometimes. You got to keep it light, even in spite of inflation and all the other things going on. That's such a great part about these spaces and this community, is that you can still gather together and you can still even laugh at the hardships or laugh at, the hard days. But I just wanted to say good morning, say hello to you, and just let you know I'm looking forward to these spaces you've been doing and trying to come to more of them, and looking forward to talking with you more tomorrow as well.
Indeed, Reverence. Tomorrow there's a space. This amazing lady, Yonda, has been running a thing called the Genius Room. And I know Mud, I see Queen, I see Red, I think I saw Arkadian, I've seen several people are going to be in there tomorrow talking about that. So if you like, you'll see some things from that talk about some really pretty cool topics. This is the DeLorean space, so I don't want to get too far into that. But these are people that I've known for years too. So this is not like, hey, some new person comes up. These are people that I've known for years. And look, it's community. Community is such a big part of crypto, especially on the meme side, but in anything. We all need support. We all need to be educating people. We all need to help each other. There's 5% of the freaking world's in it. So anybody comes into a space, let's teach them. Anybody that asks questions, let's teach them. There are big things happening in the world as far as the Clarity Act and things that are happening as crypto is working towards mass adoption. People are going to come in just like we did, whether it's a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You got to start somewhere. And when you come into something that you don't know much about, you can be scared. And, hey, rightfully so. I'm sure the media talks about a lot of the rugs out there. And so, we want to help people to be smarter and maybe go through some of the things that we've all gone through. I would just about bet everybody in here has at least been rugged once, and hopefully not hacked, but most people probably have had hacking experience. Security, I always like to talk about security on spaces. The hackers have really stepped up their game. We all saw that thing a couple of days ago where there were, potentially billions of white wallets and transactions potentially compromised, where you give approval for a transaction and they grab it and then take it to their wallet. So there's so many things. The hackers really step up their game when the money gets bigger. It is what it is. So, obviously, first and foremost, don't share your private keys with anybody. Always be careful with somebody that DMs you a link because it could be a wallet drainer. Be careful, I'll say, with airdrops. If you get airdrops, then you better know what it is, or you could be clicking on a wallet draining link, because when you give access to your wallet, you have given access to your wallet. The private keys are not. So there are things like renounce on ETH and many other to cancel the access, if you will. I believe in if you do something brand new, like some project that you don't know anything about and you want to invest in it, be it an NFT or maybe something that caught your attention through an airdrop or whatever. I believe in creating another wallet, and we call it a burner wallet. Take a little bit of your main wallet, if you will. Let's just say it's $100 you want, then take $100 out of your main wallet, put it in that other wallet, and do that transaction. And that way, if it is a drainer, then you lose $100 instead of everything. I just, it's so important to remind people about this, because that is one of the biggest problems we have in our industry is the scammers, period. So anyway, we'll speak about that for hopefully on every space I'm ever on.
That being said, we got Red here. How you doing, Red?
Hey, every day is a good day when you got DMC, baby. Um, so I had a question, like, for you guys, just from your particular standpoints. Thank you for the opportunity, Arthur and Coach George. This news with Gate US, right? I was curious from, both of your standpoints, what you feel is most significant about that, or what excites you about that in terms of what it means for propelling DeLorean into the future. Okay, wow. Did I really just do that? Yeah, I just did.
Well, one thing that was highlighted today is that Evan is kind of working backwards. So them getting listed on the U.S. exchanges means it's going to be almost the way they did it was better, because what he talked about was some other tokens get listed like XRP. They come into the UX exchanges and then they get delisted for a little bit. It kind of hurts them a little, their exposure for a little bit, because people wonder what's going on. But him having that experience and working backwards, then going on the US. So to me, this is huge, because them coming onto the UX exchanges means that they have all the right documentation and paperwork and everything needed for them to be listed in the US exchanges. And this is only the beginning. This is the first one. So we can only expect it to kind of trickle down from there and only get more exposure and more US exchanges.
And
cool. George.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to piggyback on that. What this does, in my opinion, one, we did talk about this earlier with Evan and the DeLorean account in here. They have said over, weeks ago that they have 2 billion fans, and 60% of those, 65% of those fans are U.S. citizens. Okay, we've only got 5% of the public in the world that's in crypto, and so one of the barriers to people coming in is fear, basically, and fear of security, not having like that umbrella of the SEC, so to speak, and those type of things. So the comfort level that investors can have to go onto a centralized exchange. We all probably started, my first exchange, I came in through Coinbase. So I think it's going to give that comfort level for investors to come in and invest. And again, this is not financial advice, but it's opening the doors for new investors. And in my opinion, I would say the connections that DeLorean probably has by being around for 50 years and for having the connections through the movie, there's no telling, some of the people they have with the hundreds of million in revenue that they have. People can come in with the comfort knowing that this is a real company that you've heard of, that's been around for years, that's been in movies and sells merch and generates over $100 million in revenue every year. So that's pretty much my belief why this is so huge. It's opening the door for U.S. investors to come in who may be scared of crypto.
I agree with both of those views, and it's completely founded in like just reality. So thank you. Thank you guys.
Always appreciate you. You're out there grinding, girl. I see you all the time. And hey, when I see somebody that I know, respect, and trust, then I try to pop in your spaces and listen. So you're bringing exposure to other projects just by you being there, just like so many others in the room. So thank you for what you're doing to help grow the industry. Oh, we got a moment of silence on that one. Hello.
I don't want to be annoying. Like, I know we have other speakers.
I accidentally muted. I'm sorry.
Well, it's just I see Arkadian is up, and I know he will have, if not something interesting to say, he will also have some interesting questions. You're muted, Ark.
Is it open? You good? Arkadian, yeah, I've seen him in a lot of spaces too. This is a smart guy, and I always say, hang out with people smarter than you, and you get smarter. So look forward to hearing what you have to share this morning, or whatever time it is where you live.
Yeah, we're looking at 1 minute past 7 in my time zone, but a very important time and space for everyone right now. The alts are all low. The liquidity is pushing out of the big caps over to the other sides. Charlie Kirk giving the world mixed emotions at the moment, Do we shut up, or do we finally say we fucking had enough and we're going to start talking about this? We've got projects like DeLorean making somebody in Africa, somebody in China, somebody in a third world, in a fifth world, giving them a chance to get an equity on the next wave of EV cars. I just think there's a lot happening right now, and with everything that's going on, I don't know if anyone else is feeling a little bit emotional about the way everything is right now. Like, I just feel like we're about to witness so many big things. I don't know which way to stand on this. I think we spoke with Arthur earlier, and he said something, and then I said, it's true. None of us really know what we're doing. So, yeah, I just hope I'm in the right place. I'm the guy that's going to build a raft to help us get across obstacles. I hope somebody else is good at making the food. I hope somebody else is good at being the doctor. So, it's just down to us to pick a swim lane, pick a function that we can help to serve each other with, and then we can accomplish so much more. I'm in the space to listen to more about what that is that I can do, and what more I can, get out there. How can I do something? If each one teach one happens once a day, problem solved within a couple of years, right? It's done. It's so simple. Why are we struggling with it? I'm not sure. I wish I had the answers. I don't. That's why I'm here. I don't have the answers. And like you said, Coach, I do surround myself with people who are far more intelligent. And as for me, I'll just infer with my inner self and see what I can do. So, our Coach, what can we do if we had to take one thing away from this space today? What would you like each of us to do in the next 24 hours?
Well, the main takeaway, I think, from today's space is the regulatory clarity that DMC has obtained this week. I don't know if you were here earlier, but they were approved as a non-security crypto asset, real world asset in Spain. I can't remember, CWMA, CNMA, whatever, and the European Union. Mika was, and there has been other things like Robinhood that have gone the same way. And then this, just today, they announced that they were being allowed to be listed on centralized exchanges. So that would be number one, that we basically cleared the big security, I guess you could say, Howey test hurdle. And then, shoot, I don't remember what number two was going to be. But this is a real world asset company that's doing a marketplace on the blockchain. They're doing selling, they're making cars, electric vehicles. It's being all handled through the blockchain. So this is a real world asset, huge brand name that has been around for 50 years, that is coming to the block, that is on the blockchain, and opening the door for other companies to come in. And I don't know, you're probably not old enough, or either not from so there's an old Life cereal commercial many years ago, where they're all kids are sitting around the table and then looking at the cereal like, what the crap is this stuff? And this one kid starts to eat, and then he starts chowing it down. They're like, hey, Mikey, he likes it. So, we're the Mikeys, basically. We're tasting the sugar, so to speak, and let's go let everybody else know about the cereal, kind of thing. One thing that you mentioned that I want to shout out to the whole room. Everybody has something special that's unique to them. Whatever it may be, a cook, or somebody that's has tech skills, or somebody that knows how to spread joy, whatever it may be. So we all have special talents, and by all means, use this social media platform where you can communicate with somebody from around the world, and collectively change the world, basically. I mean, it's just as simple as that. This Charlie Kirk thing really was just absolutely horrible. I will share just a story about that. I don't talk about politics and stuff, but my children are grown, and they were just devastated. And I was like, oh gosh, here's another one. And they got mad at me, and we really had an argument. This is one of the worst things that's ever happened in history. Well, it is in their life, but I've seen, assassinations and wars that I don't feel like we should be in. I'm not going to get into politics. I shouldn't even said that, but we've seen so much violence and so much anger and so much hatred in this world. And we do need to turn it around, in my opinion, and spread joy. I believe, don't burn a bridge you might have to cross one day. So, try not to burn the bridges. You can stand up for what you believe in. And, this is really what's been talked about. I saw Hosea Williams, which many of you won't know, but he was Martin Luther King, him and Andrew Young, or it was Andrew Young that I saw speaking yesterday, who was one of Martin Luther King's right-hand men when he was assassinated. And he was talking about Charlie Kirk, and he says, look, this guy and I, our beliefs are absolutely, totally different, okay? But you do not kill someone because you disagree with them. You have debate. You talk it out. You figure it out. You work on it, which is what Charlie Kirk was doing. And look, I didn't even realize how much of an impact he had on my children, because he was going to college campuses and debating about very tough issues. And, they say he helped swing the young vote. Again, I don't care about the political side. The point is, it's good to have healthy debate. That's how we figure shit out, because other people are smarter than I am on certain things, and I might learn from them. But it is not cool to take somebody's life or to use violence because you don't agree with somebody. Period. I stand firm on that. That's probably
That's the First Amendment. That's the First Amendment.
That's right. That's more than you're asking for. Everybody has talent, I guess, was the main thing. But
I see my name has his hand up, and then we'll probably end up closing it out. We're getting closer to the end of the hour there.
Hey, well, it's hard to follow up after that last bit from Coach. All I wanted to say was I think that a lot of people are not giving enough credence to the challenging of the Howey test. I just wanted to bring that up because Coach mentioned it. This is such a big deal for crypto and DeFi at large because the Howey test is so outdated and so improperly applied in the world of digital assets. And seeing things like DMC challenging it and winning and not being declared a security, these are some major wins that we need in the crypto space and we need in DeFi in order to better legitimize and better break away from that centralized control that the SEC tries to hold over all of us. So if you have not researched the Howey test and what that means, please go do some research, self-educate a little bit, and realize how big of a deal this is, because under the Howey test, 99% of crypto tokens are considered securities under that protocol. And it's absolutely incorrect, and it needs to change. So I just encourage everybody to do some research on that if you have not before.
thank you. Yes, just so you know, and I mentioned this earlier, I haven't been able to get it posted up, but there was an interview a couple of days ago. It's Hester Pierce from the SEC, and it was very good. It's an hour long, so you would have to carve an hour out to listen to it. But the Howey test obviously was discussed, and the SEC is one of the big takeaways I got out of that was the SEC is crypto friendly, so to speak. Obviously, they have things they can do and can't do as far as stepping in and not being, the big enforcer and allowing it to happen, kind of thing. So this is big. Howey test, obviously, when Gensler was in, that was what they were using to take everybody to court, basically, right? So it feels like they're the SEC is going to let it happen, maybe push towards commodities versus securities. Yes, the citizens won't get some of the same protections, but the doors seem to be opening up. They again, what I took away from that is they're crypto friendly, basically. And Paul Atkins said it yesterday, 2 days ago, too. It's the U.S.'s time for crypto. Study the Howey test. Arthur and I were talking about that last night. I probably need to go get the four criteria and go over that maybe on the space sometime soon.
Awesome. Did you want to keep going, Coach, or did you want to end it?
I mean, we've got a couple of hands up, so if they want to grab a few final comments, we'll do that. There are other SWE project spaces that go on after this, so I don't want to go too long. But, in appreciation for you guys who have come up, and gals, obviously, we'll have some final comments, if you will, and then we'll shut this thing down. We're not going to be able to bring anybody else up. I apologize, but this is for time reasons that we have to show respect to other spaces that are out there as well. I don't know if they had their hand up first. Ark, you want to go? I'll go with a final comment, if you will, and then Mud, you can follow.
Yeah, thank you so much, Coach. Thank you, Arthur. Thank you for hosting the space. My name is Mud. Dude, I completely agree with you. The Howey test is not formatted for builders. It's formatted for companies. So I believe I think they should add a few, just a few more criteria in order to make it Web3 and startup compatible. Number one, future. So the Howey test takes into account things that have a value, like now, if there's a company that is going to pay an equity into a stock now, so it can be applied to stocks. If you are setting up a business that has the potential to make future value, I think they should be asking or adding that criteria. Does it have a potential for a future value? Then who? If your asset has the potential for the future value, who are you? Who is your team? And then the last criteria is accountability. In other words, people have bought your token. You've made a tremendous success. Now it needs to be a stock in the form of a digital asset. So you will be required to pay that equity that you said into that stock, in this case, into a digital asset. So I agree with you. It's just not formatted for the way that digital assets are being used, like XRP, with a future use case and a future value. And the same could be said for DMC, right? Is that DMC takes off, and as a holder, sales of these vehicles give us a growing influence or a growing value in what we're holding. So that's my take on it. I'm just really glad that you brought it up, the fact that the Howey test is a lot like our schooling system from 100 years ago. Things have changed. We've changed, and the way we do business has changed, and what we're creating on the blockchain is changing. So some changes need to be made. But that's it. Thank you so much. Didn't want to go on too long. Thank you.
No, those are all valid points and well educated once again. I agree on a lot of the points. This is something I've been involved in for several years in Spaces and Reddit and what have you. The expectation of profit, that's obviously one of the Howey principles, centralized organizations. The accountability thing is going to be a really hard thing to enforce because you're talking about a worldwide phenomenon, if you would. And it's not like the U.S. can come in and say, hey, world, you can't do this, right? So accountability almost has to be within the industry. Transparency almost needs to come from us, the investors, to demand that these people are transparent with what they're doing, because you might not have access to their books other than the blockchain itself. So, again, we could be on here for 3 hours talking about this, but how do you regulate, or how do you hold accountable people that are bad actors? These are really tough questions. And I used to say, maybe we should do it inside the industry commission, if you will. But then who's to say they won't be paid off? Even worse than the politicians. I don't know. It's uncharted territory. So, and can't say all the politicians are paid off, but we watch the news or X or whatever it is, right? But good points, very good points. That's just spirited debate, so to speak. Mud?
Yeah, I appreciate, Ark, the points that you made, and you said it, Coach. We could talk about this for 3 hours or more, and I don't want to be on the subject more than we already have. The only thing that I wanted to add to some of those things that you and Ark both mentioned is even really simple things that you might not think make a security within crypto and DeFi. It's stuff like owning the smart contract, access to liquidity, a token that has a tax on it. Those kinds of things have automatically labeled them as securities. And to your point, talking about bad actors and actual crime that takes place, whether it's money laundering or something else. I was at I want to keep this really short. I was at a furthering education seminar in Pittsburgh talking with lawyers at K&L Gates, and we were part of a panel talking about crypto with their lawyers, and they are still in the place right now when it comes to trying to track down the bad actors of the old school gumshoe detective style. You find one bad guy and you say, hey, I'll give you a break. You tell me the name of this address. You tell me who does this belong to, because this is the bigger fish I'm chasing. And they cut deals and make breaks to low-level criminals to track down the bigger ones. And they have to do it that old school way because DeFi is so decentralized, and it is so private, having these private ledgers with sorted assets and values. So it's crazy. The future is wild, and a big part of it is going to be shaped by the people like us who are in here setting the culture, setting the standards, and setting what is acceptable and what is not. So that is why I appreciate this space and speakers like yourself and Ark and Red Alark. We are setting the tone, and I think we just need to keep doing more of that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, anybody in the audience, follow the room. These are educated people that are brave enough to come up and speak, and have shared some very valuable information today. By all means, follow them, and you can learn from them. I don't say, I'm not a farming engagement, so you don't have to follow me, but follow these people. So anyway, we will shut this thing down. Again, thank you all for coming today. I'll call this one of the top spaces we've had because of the alpha that was shared today as far as the regulatory clarity, basically learning that even Gate was going to be approved as an exchange in the U.S., and to see that DMC is now going to have opportunity to be on centralized exchanges. So those are the main takeaways. Thank you all for coming again. Encourage you, if you're in the audience, to never feel afraid to come up and speak in a space and ask questions, especially if I'm on one and I'm a host or co-host. There's no such thing as a dumb question. And I will, time permitting, allow you to come up and ask your questions. So maybe I can help. That's my goal. I have goals in life. Everybody knows now I'm an older demographic person. My goals are for my children to be self-sustainable, to have a relationship with God, and to help other people. So that's how I've lived my life. It's who I am. Peace. Have a great weekend. Touch grass. We've got nice fall weather where I live. And hey, not financial advice. Big news on the DMC charts or the DMC project today. So you decide. I'm in. I may try to go even a little further. Have a great weekend. Thank you again. Arthur, thank you so much. I'm glad you're a good friend. I'm sure we'll talk after.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Just a good man. So keep your friends around, and have a blessed day. I'm done.